All right, namaskar everyone. Take two. We will be having a guest today in our classical arts series. I am going to bring Yashu on again. I hope we don't have as many technical difficulties this time. Let's see, where are you? Hey, Yashu.
Hi.
Second time's the charm.
Yes.
So, okay, let's do the recap again. I am Srishti, Prabha, the managing editor at India Currents. I'm also your co-host for this live Desi talk, and my co-host is
Hi, everyone. It's your girl, Happy Yashu, confidence and lifestyle coach, plus size model, and of course, so many other things. Thank you all so much for tapping in with us today. This is Desi Talk, where we come to you guys every Tuesday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern. We come to you live, talking to you about so many different topics within the realm of the Desi diaspora.
yes, yes. And again, we're doing another quick recap, unless you already heard it, in which case I'm sorry, but here it is. We've been doing a series on the classical arts. We've gone over Kathak, Bharatanatyam, Tabla, Mridangam, a DJ who's also a Punjabi folk dancer. So we've gone through it all. And this is our last one, and it's very unique. It's very special, and it's very, different than what we've been already talking about. It'll probably have us thinking about music a little bit differently. So without ado, I'm going to just introduce our guest, and let's see if he can come back on. So our guest today, he gave me this bio, and it's amazing. So he starts with breathing magical melodies on the Indian bamboo. Virtuoso Raman Kalyan is one of the leading flautists in the Carnatic style of music. Raman, with his unique style, has captivated audiences globally. He has released over 80 CDs, and many DVDs. And his most recent CD, Music for Deep Meditation, reached the #1 spot on the Apple iTunes World Music Charts and remained in the top 50 albums for more than 6 months. He is a top-ranking artist for All India Radio and Doordarshan. And apart from being a soloist, Raman has been a successful composer. He has also written 2 books on Carnatic flute training, and he holds the world record, I believe it's the world record, of recording 500 ragas at 500 different locations all over the world. Raman, with the mission to promote Carnatic music and education, has founded a CarnaticLessons.com website. He's also the founder and president of Namam Foundation, a nonprofit that does charity through the arts. Okay. All right.
So exciting. And just to give everyone just a quick little brief, this episode is super special to me because I actually grew up listening to Raman Uncle play his flute from basement, local, bhajan style of concerts to the big stages. And till this day, his CDs play in my parents' car. So such an amazing experience to be able to see him growing up as a child to today being able to interview him on Desi Talk. Thank you so much for joining us, Raman Uncle.
Thank you so much. A pleasure is mine. Thanks for having me in the show. And
Absolutely. And, first of all, we want to say, I see you're holding your flute. Are we going to have the opportunity to listen just a little snippet tonight?
sure, absolutely. Why don't I start with a little 10 seconds or something?
Yes.
Wow. Thank you.
That was beautiful.
Yes, I leave my flutes everywhere, all over the desk. Anytime I want to play, I just leave it so that,
Do you
you
have
know.
a favorite one? Do you have multiple, and do you have a favorite?
Yeah, I have like 300 plus flutes. I don't even know how much I have, but over a period of 30, 40 years, I've collected so much. I have flutes from different countries and different kinds of flutes. But the main flute I play is Carnatic flute, which is 8-hole flute. and I also play the Hindustani flute, which is very six holes flute. So so I have a lot of flutes all over. I have
But
like
there's
So
not
tell us
one
eight,
a
nine
little
preference.
bit.
cases.
Tell us a little bit about, to educate our viewers, of course, tell us a little bit about Carnatic flute and how Carnatic flute is different from other flutes. And then also your experience as, even just the beginning of your journey. Why Carnatic flute?
Yeah, I grew up in South India, and in South India, it's mostly South Indian music is followed. So India has two forms of music. One is South Indian music and North Indian music. North Indian music is also called as Hindustani music. South Indian music is called as Carnatic music.
Mhm.
So since I grew up in South India, I didn't have any choice. I just what was mostly available was South Indian music, Carnatic music. So Carnatic music, after learning for this many years, performing and doing all that, now I see it is all the same. The music is the same. Like how a South Indian girl always wears a sari versus a North Indian wears a salwar kameez or something. It's the same
Mhm.
person, because of that influences in the North, the music is a little different. And first of all, let me say how South Indian music and North Indian music is different. So
Mhm.
South Indian music is one of the oldest forms. So they say music originated from Vedas. So at least 5,000 years old. And that is the rough time frame they give it for Krishna also. And they say Lord Krishna played the flute and
Yeah,
Krishna
he's
was,
always with the bassuri like this.
yeah, yeah. So there are a lot of interesting stories I would like to share on Krishna playing the flute and all that. But anyway, Krishna's time is around 5,000 years. So I would say the South Indian Carnatic music is a lot older than the
Mhm.
North Indian. North Indian music, I would say like maybe 100, 150 years. Pannalal Ghosh brought this into you know
Mhm.
probably he got inspirations watching the South Indian flute. So definitely North Indian flute is very very young compared to South Indian flute, no
I
doubt on
see.
that. And
What
the
about
big
the
diff
structure? Like the
yeah, the big
structure.
difference in the structure is the South Indian flute is very small, so it has 8 holes and a blowing hole. The North Indian flute also I have, but it's in the other room. So, but it's a very long, and it's like a violin versus cello. So it is an octave low.
Mm.
So it's like very meditative and beautiful. The tone, the texture is very beautiful. And once you learn Carnatic music, it's easy to pick up other forms of music also. So
Mhm.
that's why I was very comfortable because of my solid base in Carnatic music. I have played with varied bands and varied musicians from. I have toured Japan. I played with Koto musicians. We don't even know the language, right? I went to Taiwan now a couple of years back before the pandemic. So I played with Taiwanese music. They don't even speak much English, and with Erhu and all this Koto, and they have different
Mhm.
pipa, all kinds of instruments, Chinese instruments,
It's
and
almost like you communicate through music.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
the
Mhm.
language
The
the
main
language is the music.
exactly music is the language. Yeah. Once you have your Carnatic music training, I never felt cared or anything to play with any because immediately you can always translate into music is music anyway, right? So
Right.
immediately it's easy for you to translate into our swaras, decode
Mhm.
them into swaras, and play. It was I've played with African ensembles. You know, initially I was very scared. Like there were like 15 djembes playing and drumming. I thought like, what am I going to do here? But I took a small high-pitched flute and I played with that band called Kakate.
Right. So the it's also important to note that the structure of like Western music, like you were saying, is different, right? You can't just like we don't read notes the same way. Notes are different. And then also then within in North Indian and South Indian classical music, I know that the structure of how you play is also different. So we've talked about it a little bit because actually Yashu and I both have done singing and dance, so we have some understanding of the structures of, like when we did tabla and mridangam, there was the tals are different, and the dance is different. So can you tell us how in the flute, like what are the like are you basing something off of a rag? Are you basing it on in a certain tal form? Like what is the difference
See,
between those?
it is entirely a different form of music. North Indian
Mm-hmm.
music, all the structure is different. Our Carnatic form, we have a composition composed by all these great legendary composers who were in the 18th century. Three great composers whom we call as Mahavagekaras, like Tyagaraja Swami, Dikshitar, and Shyama Shastri. So we play their compositions. So that is why lot of my North Indian friends, they always say, "Oh my God, your South Indian structure is so good." If I have to learn a raga, I learn like 5 or 6 compositions. I get a very good hold of that raga. That is lacking in Hindustani. They always feel bad because if you have to learn a raga, you have to really spend time with a teacher for 6 months or 8 months. So it takes a longer time to learn a raga in North Indian. So that is why even great musicians like Bhimsen Joshi or all these legends, they used to sing only 8, 10 ragas
Mm.
because it is very hard to get hold of the raga and learn its entirety. Its whole expression of that raga is tough in Hindustani music. So that's why you see all the time all popular musicians playing all the popular ragas like Yaman and
Mm-hmm.
Malkauns and all that stuff. So beyond that, it is very hard. So why? Because of this composition structure is lacking. So
Mm.
that is a big advantage in our South Indian music. We
And I
had
think
this
you had
great.
also mentioned the octave is different. Is that because of the type, the shape or the type of flute? Can you tell us a little bit about how the flute is actually made? What is it made of?
It's made of pure bamboo. Yeah, actually, the interesting story is, the old caveman, the bee wasps used to create random holes on the bamboo groove. And when the wind blew, it used to make various sounds. Initially, they thought it's some demon or anything, like making various sounds that, without any person. Then they figured out that this instrument came out of that. Then the man figured out, oh, it's when the air is blown through holes, it's creating the sound. And that's how they created this. So the reason why the octave is high in South Indian music is South Indian music, like I said, way, way, way older than North Indian music. So there were no mics that time, and even my guru's guru, my teacher is Ramani sir, and his guru is Mali sir. He is the iconic who really redefined the South Indian flute. He brought it to a different level. So he played in octave like a G scale, a very sharp. It's like almost like a piccolo. So he used to play that. So that's like because of the sound system and all that. He could play anywhere in the public. And those days, 1,000, 2,000 people used to gather for Carnatic concerts. And these days, it's like a it's very hard to get audience like that. But in those times, because of there's no movie, TV, and all that stuff, so many people used to, this was the main entertainment. So my guru's guru, he used to play in a very sharp flute because it can go. I've tried
Mm.
this. I've tried this. I've played flute in Grand Canyon or in Estes Park and Banff. When you play flute in the nature, especially the high flute, it travels miles together. Especially in the Grand Canyon, I was like surprised that it
Oh
go
wow, you
all
played
the.
in the Grand Canyon?
Yeah, I played. That's when I started doing this project called Thousand Ragas in Thousand Locations. I've done 670 or 80 so far, and I'm yet to finish up. But it's a very exciting project which I've been doing. That's how
So how long have you been doing this project for the
this
the
has been like
record?
7 years, I think. Last 7 years I've been doing. So wherever I go, wherever I travel, I take a day off and then go to some nature spot. I like hiking and nature also because nature and music, they go together. You feel very peaceful and very inspired by nature.
Mm-hmm.
So I go and I play out in the nature, sunsets, sunrise. I've seen so many sunsets at various parts of the world.
Let's talk a little bit about the beginning of your journey. So you briefly mentioned your gurujis, but I want to kind of go back to, at what age did you start playing flute? And can you speak a little bit about your training experience and just that process? What made you what made you do flute? Because I know Carnatic violin, mridangam, all of these are also very popular. Why flute?
Yeah, I started very young, like 4 or 5 years. My mom is my first guru.
Hmm.
Music was all there in their family too. She used to play veena a little bit. So she taught few songs and all that. And flute was not there. It is very funny how I started flute. My grandfather, my dad's dad, always, I grew up in Mysore in
Oh.
Karnataka.
Mm-hmm.
So he used to, morning 4 o'clock, 4:30, he used to go to a farm to bring the milk. Every day he will go to the farm, fresh from the cow, they bring the milk like that. He used to go, and on his way back, he heard this flute coming from somewhere. So then he knocked the door and see who is that. One teacher was teaching a student, and then he said, immediately he loved it, and he said, "Can you teach my grandson?" So
Oh.
then the teacher said, "Yeah, I can come tomorrow." Then, then tomorrow the teachers, my grandfather came and say, "Hey, tomorrow you're starting flute." I had no clue. I had really no clue, and that was when I was 9. So I started,
Wow.
and
And
ever,
then when you moved here, did you move here and then have to stop playing the flute at any
no,
point? No.
no, I never stopped playing flute, and it is because of the flute I came here.
Oh.
Yes. So what
Can you
So
what
speak a
what
little bit about
yeah.
that? Can you speak a little bit about how you came to America and how did the flute guide you here?
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. All through whatever I've done, everything is because of this tiny instrument. And it's very surprising. I've told this in many interviews. This is the most cheapest instrument, Indian instrument. I have flutes which I have bought for 8 rupees. That's like less than a dollar, like 10 cents, 15 cents. So it's like, it's a very simple, there's nothing. And the greatness of a flute is nothing is added to the flute. It's like a solid state, what they say in MacBook, right? Like solid state hard drive, like that. The flute is a very solid, nothing is added to this. There are no moving parts, there are no added parts to it. All they do is take out parts out of it. And then, so there is a famous Shahiri which says a flute is a very divine instrument where it's like it undergoes all pain and torture, but it gives great melodies out of it. So
Wow.
that's the greatness of flute. So the story is very interesting. Like 9. Let me quickly cover how I got into main stage. So I started, and then I was considered like a child prodigy. That time it's the media was all so slow. So I at 13 I started performing full concerts. So my teacher made me play a first concert, and then then on no looking back. I was always looking forward. The very tone of the flute really excited me, and I would love to play all the time, practice, 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 because that made me happy. At
Mm-hmm.
the end of the day, whatever makes you feel good is what we want in life, right? Playing flute
Right.
makes me feel good, and I wanted to do this. Oh, how is this? How is that? So like that, even in when I was in school, if I didn't have any classes, my school was very nearby to my home, so I used to come home, play like 1 hour, one period I don't have, I would come and play for 45 minutes and then rush back. So like that I played, and then how it started was slowly my teacher used to double book himself. And then,
Oh.
oh, I'm going to send my student. I'm going to send my student. He's super good. So like that, slowly I started playing for everybody, and then, playing at venues. And then slowly they used to recall me again. And so ever since then I knew, and my teacher was also he said, don't go to engineering, don't go to medical school, because flute, you are so good. And I'll be very unhappy if you quit flute. Like that, he was always saying whenever I used to say, which was a very positive thing. And then I knew, okay, maybe I'm very good at this, so I should. So I'm one of the lucky guys who I knew that this would be my career, this would be my life. So then I was to then, also the thing is adversity creates, every adversity has a greater seed, like that Napoleon Hill or somebody said that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Every adversity makes you look in a different direction and think out of the box. So I was 21, my dad died. Then I had the responsibility to work and get my family together. So I got a job a little bit before that at All India Radio. Then I thought, playing for movies, you make a lot of money, right? Playing for
Mm-hmm.
movies. So then I said, like, I don't want to be. I was in Bhadravati, which is a small town, and all these movie recordings was all happening in Bangalore. Then I said, like, somebody said, hey, these movie guys are getting. If you play in movies, you can make a lot of money. Whatever your salary, you can make it in one day. So, so then I said, "Oh my God!" Then I have to go there. If I can play more movies, so I
Mm-hmm.
played like 400 Indian movies. So
Wow.
yeah, a lot of award-winning movies and great movies I played. So what happened is then I moved to Bangalore, and I was playing like it's a different industry, and it was like a paid holiday for me. So playing for movie recordings and especially the recordings, my bit used to come like it's like a call sheet you give 9 to 9 or 9 to 5. My
Mm-hmm.
bit used to come somewhere, like a little portion wherever, and the rest of the time we don't know when it is coming, right? Because we are playing behind this thing. So I used to practice in my flute booth. That boosted my practice. Like always, I used to think, "Oh my God, they're paying me money to practice." And I used to lock my flute booth and practice. And I used to tell this the chai guy, the
Mm-hmm.
boy, who served the chai and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, tell me whenever the music director calls, I'm ready. So then I used to practice, practice, practice. But also that gave me a lot of opportunity to. They would give me a piece, right? I would play it like 100 times, and I would try to get the best of the piece, like best of the whatever they give me, because it necessity. If I don't play good, they won't call me again, right? So I
Mm-hmm.
want to make sure that the music director is super happy with my work and all that. So I used to play like that, and then what happened? I was very busy in the industry, and I was playing all these recordings. So a guy from Boston came. So he was a Veena artist and he wanted to do a project with me. And then he was super impressed with my work ethics, and he said, "Oh, why don't you come to the US? A musician like you will have a lot of opportunities in the US. Why don't
Mm-hmm.
you?" But I was like working at All India Radio, it's like a big thing, quitting your job and all that. My family was there. I had a house, I had a car, I had everything.
Mm-hmm.
So then I was thinking, then if you go to US, I know then you have to start all over. But I already reached a very plateau in my uh, job, because it was the same job, stress-free job, of course, and a lot of money. And I used to get, a lot of, I used to make a lot of money from the movies, and I could have settled, but I thought, like, okay, if I'm doing this for the next 20 years, I'm going to be doing this, and of course I can make money. But this is a nice thing to go outside of the country and see what is on the other side. So
Mm-hmm.
I took the opportunity, came to Boston. That's how first I came to Germany, and from Germany he said, I didn't decide right away. He said, "I'm going to give you a ticket to US, and you come and see how it is. We will do a recording." I did a CD called Rare Pulse, where I played with a Grammy winner. So he said, "There's a big famous Grammy winner who is a four-time Grammy winner called Glenn Wallace. He lives in New York. Recently I did a tour with him. So he's going to be on the album, and it's going to be a great thing. So you come and play." So I was touring Germany that time. I was in Hanover. Then he gave me a e-ticket. That's the first time I flew a e-ticket. I had no clue. I was not even confident that I would fly, because for us, going to the travel agent and getting a big paper ticket with a
Yeah.
keychain and everything. That's how I was used, olden days, good old days. then I said, like, he give me a bunch of number and email, and I thought, okay, maybe they will let me in. If they don't let me in, I'm going to come back, like that I said.
Mm.
But I came, I played for the recording and stayed for 2 months, and went to New York and all that. And he said, oh, you can do recordings, you can teach, you can freelance, you can play sessions and all that. It sounded good to me, and there's nothing to lose. So I already have a house. I already had my savings. The worst, what is the worst I can go? I just need to quit my job, which is okay, but still I can make a living
Right.
as a musician.
Mm-hmm.
People know me in the field, right? So I
Mm-hmm.
took a bold step, and then, just follow my heart. They say, right? Follow your heart. So that's what
And
I
I think
said.
it was such a perfect step because you've done such an amazing transformational, job here in the US. You've really opened up so many doors. And I know this because I know one of my close friends growing up was actually, one of your students. So can you talk just briefly, because I know we're kind of clocking down a little bit, but briefly about, your school and your teaching, your
Wait,
coaching.
I have a question though before we move on. So I know I was really engrossed in this story because it's a good trajectory. I mean, it's crazy. Like one of the things that is lacking here, which it sounds like there was more opportunity, is like pursuing the classical arts in India is much more of a career than it is here. It becomes much more difficult to take that step that, there just isn't like a solid foundation for the arts, and I know you have that. And so I'm wondering, like, how was the, like, two things that, one, I know, Yashu, we've talked to so many people, and the one through line I've seen is the level of passion and dedication to the art, right? Every person we've talked to is like, I knew this the minute that I did this, that this was a thing I had to keep doing. And most of us that grew up here, we feel that way, but then we also have like a job. Like the kid who
Yeah.
played the mridanga, and we have like a job, and then we do it on the side. I do kathak on the side, like most of us. But the people that are like pursuing it at a very high level, like you, Ramanji, and like my kathak teacher, like they had to dedicate hours and hours and hours of practice. And I see, like, I hear that in your story, and I hear it in how much you talk about it. And I think that's so important to talk about, is like how much it takes to even get to that point. But I have my question was, how how was the immigration process? Because I know, like, that's not simple for an artist in that generational time. And so, like, what happened for you? Like, how did you end up here?
Oh, that was like very interesting. So what happened is, then my friend who was a artist, he said, like, it will be hard if you leave your wife and kid and come here. So why don't you convince your wife also? That was a big jolt because my wife was also working, and then it's hard leaving your wife and staying for a longer time. Then I said, so finally, and the luck turned out that my guy who his name is Raghavendra Ragha, they call.
Mm-hmm.
So his wife was working in for the university. Then she said, "Oh, if she and my wife was very smart, and she did bachelor's, and then they said, oh, the best thing is to do masters here in computer science, and there is a lot of opportunity for computer science, and then you do music and she's into computer science, that will work for perfect." So
There's
she
a
came
role
as
reversal.
she came as a student, and I came as a student dependent first. And then once
Ah.
I was here, then there was a local school in Boston called LearnQuest, and they sponsored my P3. And then from then on, it's really funny how music takes you to places. So there was this attorney called Kathleen, somebody, I wanted to renew my visa, and every time paying $300 was too much for me. So I wanted a longer term. I said, like, 3 years. There is a O category visa where they give for a longer time, outstanding artist. So I went to this attorney. I gave my one of my CDs with Santur and flute. By the way, I played with all different instruments: flute, santur, flute, nadaswaram, flute, all kinds of veena, flute with every other jugalbandi instrument, flute with sitar,
Mm-hmm.
all like that. I always try to play with Saro, with all instruments I want to play. So this Santur CD was a meditation CD. This Kathleen just loved it. And then she said, okay, why don't you put together all your paperwork and bring it? So when I went to her, um, then she looked at me. Do you have a lot of money? I didn't understand what she was saying. Then no, I don't have a lot of money. Then she said, you will get your green card straight away. Why do you want to do and again get a green card? And then I said, I don't have that kind of money and all that. Maybe $3,000 or something. I don't have that much money. Then she said, don't worry about it. You pay whatever you want to pay, and you can
Aw,
pay in installments and whatever.
that's wonderful. You
Yeah,
found
you
someone that
can't
was,
believe it. I was like,
yeah.
"Oh, really?" Then she said, I was only willing to pay only $500, and that's what she took. And then, she said, you take your time and you pay whenever you want. Can you believe that happening?
Not now.
Attorneys, especially attorneys, they don't do that. So this is true. She did that for me because she loved the music and she said, I want to help this musician. So then, within 3-4 months, I got my green card.
Mhm.
It was
Wow.
unbelievable for me. It was an unbelievable.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Because I mean, it's not simple. I mean, even the process of you getting,
No,
the
the
green
fun
card is
part
not
is
simple.
everything was good, but after coming here, it was not a bed of roses. I was the first Carnatic musician to do full-time Carnatic music living in the US. Now there are many musicians who want to do,
Wow.
and there are many musicians who go from here and there, of course, with a backup. But I was like, I came here with $4,000. That was my savings, and then I come here, everything back to zero, right? I don't have a car, I don't have a house, like I'm living in a rented house, and its budget is very tight,
Hmm.
and nobody knows me. That's the sad part, right? I
Yeah.
was a celebrity in my place, Bangalore. Everybody knew me, and now nobody knows me. So it's like it was
Yashu knew
very.
you. Yashu knew you from the from the basement.
So it was little depressing for me, and I used to practice. What do you do with your practice? Then, like I said, adversities always teach you a
Yeah.
lesson.
I
Then I
feel like
said, yeah,
I
then
feel
I
like
said,
you've
like,
gone through. Sorry, I just want to. I know Yeshu also asked a question, and I had stopped her because I wanted to hear your story. And I'm sure we need to have like another full conversation about your life because it's amazing. But I do think we should also focus on something Yeshu brought up, which was, do you want to relay your question,
Yeah.
Yeshu?
yeah, about the
You know,
school, right?
yeah, I would love to kind of just talk about the school as well as, how people can work with you. How can students, do you still do coaching? How can students sign up with you? Just getting some
Absolutely.
information as well as, what are the next projects coming up? What can we anticipate from the great virtuoso Flute Raman?
Thank you. Again, like I mentioned, the whole thing of my whole journey has been, from an adversity, something comes up good. That's
Hmm.
been my life. And again, this teaching thing, also the why I founded Carnatic lessons and all that was like learning music was a very hard thing there. I used to go to my other teacher, my teacher Ramani sir. I used to go all the way travel like 16, 17 hours from Bangalore, take a train, go to Chennai, and learn very little. For all the hard work you do, for all this amount of travel, you learn only this much. And I used to, while coming back, I used to cry in the train, like, oh my God, I want to take so much. And the time with the teacher is very limited, and it is so hard to learn. Oh my God, I used to get very depressed. And then I said, like, the future generation should not undergo this. It should be. And then now internet and everything got bigger and all that, right? Easier. Now it is not hard to do a video with your iPhone, right? So that's why I said, like, no, I want to. And then I watched a movie which was also very inspirational. The movie called Transcendence. uh,
Mm.
Johnny Johnny Depp's movie, and then suddenly, I got my idea. So Johnny Depp in that movie, goes uploads himself to the internet, and he's all over like some. Then I said, This is what, after the movie, the moment I watched the movie, after the movie, I said, okay, now I know what I am going to do. This is what I want to do. I want to upload all the knowledge in flute to everybody in the, on the net. I am not going to hold back anything. I'm going to share everything to them, because at the end of the day, what is it, Yashu, or right? It is passing it on to others. That's
Mhm.
the whole purpose. If you see in a higher level, what are you going to do? You live and you hold on to your secrets. That's what they used to do in the olden days. Like, same thing in North Indian music, South Indian music. Always the maestros, they teach only their kids, and the student is treated as a second hand, and they will hold back and not tell them the secrets and all that. That's something which really bothered me, and that's why I founded this school, and I teach, I coach, and I also do all master classes. I take new students now. The website, you won't believe, I have 2,000 lesson modules.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, because
What
I
is
was
the
Wow.
very
website?
lucky. Like I said, I got a place. This is also destiny. I got a beautiful office set up for my school. It all landed on
Wow.
my lap, like, it's the grace of God. And I have an audio studio downstairs. I have a video studio upstairs. So I do my videos, recordings every week, at least twice or once, definitely 4 or 5 lesson modules.
Mm-hmm.
So I have 2,000 plus lesson modules for the students. I it's surprising. I have a video lesson module, 5 basics things even before getting started. What you have to do, how to get yourself started even before getting holding the flute. You have to do all these simple things.
Mm-hmm.
So it has been doing well. Now I'm surprised. I have students all over the world, and we have launched the app also for that. So
That's awesome.
That's
it's
awesome.
doing very
Yeah.
well.
And
Actually,
any new
yeah, even I am the first Carnatic flute artist to have an app. So that was also I always
You're a lot of
like to
firsts,
do
is
all
what
this.
I'm learning. A lot of firsts. So
any
yeah, go ahead,
go ahead,
Yashu.
Srishti. Did
No,
you
I
have
was
a
gonna
question?
no, I was gonna ask the same one.
Okay, great. So, what can we anticipate in terms of any productions or performances coming up, so that people can? I know, COVID has made this maybe a little bit difficult when it comes to being able to perform live. But what is upcoming for you? How can people reach you? What is your social media platform so we can connect with you? Right? I know our Instagram live has a 1 hour cutoff exactly, so we want to get you in before the clock hits. But please tell us how people can contact you. What is coming up? In terms of next productions.
Yeah, Flute Raman is my brand name. It was that back from Bangalore. It has been Flute Raman. So Flute Raman, if they Google, they can always find. My social media is Flute Raman again on Facebook, Instagram, and all that. And ramankalyan.com is my website, and they can see. Um, yeah, my future projects are very, very interesting. First thing is I want to do this. I'm in the tail end of finishing my carnaticlessons.com. There are 7 levels of training. And like you said, the whole thing I'm just uploading myself. So there is like a lot of work to do. That's my project, to finish it that way. I can focus more on marketing it and all that. Now I'm not doing any marketing. People just come watching my YouTubes and stuff. So, but I want to spend more time. The other project which I'm doing is 1,000 ragas at 1,000 locations. I have done 680 so far. I want to finish it and probably send it to the Guinness and all that. I'm sure that will have the Guinness thing. And I also have another record of playing a full concert on a 3D printed flute. So it's a 3D printed flute. I did
Wow.
a full concert on it. So that was hosted recently by the World Flute Society. And
Wow.
so my future project is, of course, I have a lot of dreams. I want to play in Hollywood, and started learning Western classical now. So I want to read the charts and stuff, so that I
Mm.
can,
Wow.
compose music, and with all the Western musicians. And I also formed a band. I want to play some Indian jazz, Indo jazz, where it's our raga based with all
Mm-hmm.
jazz musicians, because that's more universal than holding on to only Carnatic. So of course Carnatic is my first baby. It's always there. but I want to diversify and I want to see now yoga, like yoga, I want to bring music. Yoga was Indian in the beginning. Now yoga is universal. Nobody will say yoga is from India now. Everybody is doing yoga is like global, right? Like
Right.
that, I want our Carnatic music to go global and have everywhere. And that's my dream.
Absolutely. Thank you so
Wonderful.
much.
Thank you. Yeah, and before we stop this, can you play another small bit for us? That would be such a treat.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'll play. You want to? Shall I play a movie song? Is that what?
Sure,
Yeah.
you can play.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll play a movie song. This A.R. Rahman's um, Uire, Uire. I'll play that. Let me put the.
And for those of you who have tapped in, be sure to check out ramankalyan.com.
Okay. So you can play
Yay!
Wow.
it.
That was a Tu Hi Re and a Kahuna remix. Wow! I wasn't ready.
No, with Carnatic music, you playing movie songs is a very, very easy thing. It's all very any musician can play.
Thank you so much
Amazing.
again, Ramanji, for joining us. We appreciate you so much. I'm literally about to go pop one of your CDs on and just immerse myself in your amazing magical melodies.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it gives me pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
so much. And I hope people have watched, have stayed on, and will come and support Ramanji and his fluting. I don't know what the verbing of that is, but in his flute projects. And if you have any questions, you can always ask them still, and we'll respond in due time. Otherwise, we'll see you next week, and thank you for joining. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.